to get started. I'm Sue Fillion, I'm the planning director, and I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. The Planning Commission is working on a downtown design plan, and so this is the first night of multiple days of activities. So we hope that you can make some of the other activities. They're a little bit more drop-in events, and maybe let your friends and families know about them as well. So we're taking input throughout the entire weekend. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but first I want to introduce some of the project team, or the project team actually. So Brandy Saxton is from Place Sense, and she is our lead consultant for the project. And she has with her Ward Joyce, who is an architect, Paul Simon, a landscape architect, Amy McCrellis, who is a stormwater engineer, and Chris Parker, who is an architect as well. And I also want to, probably a face you'll see around a little bit more is Andrew Kaminski. He's a new planning technician for the town of Brattleboro, who just started 3 days ago. 2 days ago?
Yes.
Anyway, it's a busy week, so he's jumping right in. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandy, who we have a brief presentation and then some interactive activities.
So thanks, Sue. I thought I would give our project team members just a brief chance to give you a little sense of their background and what we are, so before we jump into a little more detail about what we're doing here in Brattleboro for the next couple of days. As Sue said, I'm a land use planner, have been working around Vermont municipalities for closing in on 20 years at this point. Have worked on several previous projects in Brattleboro, and I'm very excited to be here coordinating this effort on behalf of the team.
And I'm Ward Joyce. I'm an architect. I live in Montpelier, and I have recently, for the last 5 years, been specializing in public space work. So I've been finding underutilized public spaces in Montpelier and then developing pocket parks and parklets and street art and other things. So I come with the hat of the developer of small pop-up public spaces. So developing spaces that look like, if you develop them, it would make a nicer streetscape for our city. So that's what I've been doing a lot for the last 5 years in Montpelier.
My name is Paul Simon. I'm a landscape architect out of Etna, New Hampshire. The company is called Park Architecture. We focus on park design, urban design. I've also co-authored Urban Gardening for Dummies. So I have a background in horticulture and designing spaces that are interactive and educational as well. So I'm very excited about this project because it's right in, I guess, my daily week of work. So, yeah.
I'm Amy McCrellis with Stone Environmental, also from Montpelier, Vermont. I am the proud recipient and liver inner of a lot of the things that Ward gets to do in his recent career. I am a geologist, planner, water quality person, stormwater manager, policy and planning for going on 20 years now out of, I'd like to say I'm on career number 5 and I still haven't moved my desk, which is really nice. I'm excited to be here. A lot of my recent work has been on what we like to, in the jargon-rich world of stormwater, call green stormwater infrastructure, which really just means using soil and plants instead of pipes and ponds.
Hi, I'm Chris Kennedy. I'm principal of Make Architects in Hanover, New Hampshire. We've been around for almost 30 years, and our focus is on trying to work on projects that we have a tagline, designing for communities. So we like to work on projects that have an impact beyond their footprint, to improve communities.
Trying to do this as gently as possible. But, so I think we've got a really good mix of people to come in and look at the specific issues that Brattleboro is interested in addressing in downtown. And what we're going to be doing for the next several days is this Places for People charrette, we're calling it. So charrette is a designy word, basically means a lot of intensive planning and designing and workshops that are participatory. We invite the community into to do this as a group. So this is being done as part of the larger Brattleboro downtown design plan. This is a plan that's going to be focused on downtown Brattleboro. The Planning Commission is overseeing the project, and they have, in conjunction with the planning staff, have put together goals for the project about what they want downtown Brattleboro to be and to become. And these are some of the key words that have come out of those goals, that it be an inclusive place, with welcoming, comfortable public spaces, and be walkable and bikeable. Although if you put "and bikeable," it doesn't fit on the slide, so we don't put that part up. So that there are safe places and ways of circulation for people walking and biking throughout downtown. Clearly, the downtown Brattleboro always has been, for many years at this point, a creative, artsy place. That sense is something that wants to be maintained and fostered and strengthened in downtown. Prosperous, downtown needs to be economically successful to remain a place that people want to come to and be. So thinking about downtown businesses and how good public space can benefit them. And then green, so thinking about many of the things that folks here at this table specialize in, the streetscaping, the landscaping, green stormwater, and then even looking beyond that to things like renewable energy and other conservation type measures of ways to make the downtown more sustainable, more resilient, more green over time. So like I said, this is a participatory planning process that we are engaged in to put together this plan. The idea being that it be community driven. So we want to hear what everyone in town has to say, and business owners and people visiting. We've been trying to cast a broad net to get to hear from people, and take that and using the expertise of the people here, figure out how to get to and address the issues that have been raised and get to the goals that people have for downtown. And we're trying to also make it, accessible and fun. Not too much sitting in chairs listening to me talk. We're trying to minimize that. We do not have these costumes. They were not available for tonight. I'm sorry. But we've really had these two activities. So we had previously about 2 weeks ago, did a downtown Better Block challenge. So I think many of you got to see that and came by to see one of the 3 projects that were in place, or some of you may have built the projects very successfully. Had that event going 2 weeks ago, and then we have this event going on for the next few days, the Charrette. So these are the 2 main components of that process. So we started with the Better Block, and now we're up to the Charrette, where we're really going to spend most of tomorrow actually consulting, gathering information, and discussing downtown. We're going to be out all around downtown tomorrow, even though I think it's going to rain on us. That's good for Amy. It's only good for Amy.
I'll be the only one. I will be happy.
She'll be happy. She'll be able to see the stormwater on the street. But we will be out walking, and then we're going to be having an evening event during Gallery Walk focused on public art and other improvements in the public space downtown. Once this Charrette process is over, we'll be going back and putting together a plan that will build off of all of the input and feedback we received through this process, and we'll put together a shared vision and identify the action steps to move that forward. That'll be done in conjunction with review by the Planning Commission and such. But then the really most important piece is the plan's done, and then you as a town have work to do to implement the plan. So we'll be looking and making some recommendations about maybe potential partnerships, funding, but really picking it up and carrying it forward is the most important step, and it's the step that we need the people here in the community to do to make downtown better. We want to. So the places for People Charrette, really, it's an assessment of the public spaces downtown. What are public spaces? Well, public spaces include the streets and sidewalks, they include the parking lots, the parks. There's actually quite a lot of public space in downtown Brattleboro. If you look at the land area that we're looking at, 30% of it basically is public space. And if you were to think about the railroad being somewhat public, no one from the railroad is here, right? We said that. That space, which is certainly not exactly public, but not exactly not public either, makes it more like half the downtown being some sort of public space. So what we're going to be asking as we go through it this weekend is we look at these places and we go out and we look at streets, we look at sidewalks, we look at the parks and parking lots. We're going to be asking, is it a place for people? Is it a good public space? And if it isn't, what can we do to make it one? So this idea of what is a good public space, this is something that gets urban designers really excited. There's a lot of theories and ideas out there. They generally all fall within sort of the same umbrella in terms of what actually works to make a space that people want to be in. And certainly this idea that people's impression of the downtown or of any community is really driven by the public space, and the quality of the public space is important, particularly in communities like yours, where tourism is an element of the economy, and certainly is a piece that you're trying to foster and support. So that impression of downtown is vital. So when you look through all of the literature and discussion about public space, and what's good and what makes it work, you start to see some themes arise. So the idea of space being comfortable or safe, sometimes used. These are places that you are okay hanging out in, that you're not worried about, that there are places to sit. Maybe there's sun in the winter and shade in the summer. Maybe there's some place to get out of the wet if you need to. They're accessible. You can get to them safely. And all sorts of people can get to them, different levels and types of mobility. So it's a comfortable, safe space. That's an important piece. We talk about spaces being sociable or inviting. Basically, places where you can meet up with other people. You can sit, you can people watch, you can meet friends, you can talk, you can engage in activities. There's a sense of interaction going on there too. That they'd be interesting. Some would say that they'd be aesthetically pleasing. The idea that it needs to be clean, well maintained, attractive. That there's some sort of expression of local culture or identity. You give some sense of that you're in a particular place. They fit into their surroundings and are comfortable to be in as well. So maybe there's visually interesting things to look at, other maybe historic buildings or interesting architecture or a lovely river, something that draws interest. Public art. Spaces that are active. So this goes back to the idea of there being prosperous as well. So there's businesses and activity and a diversity of uses and activities going on, so that it brings lots of different people into the downtown. The idea of there being the complete streets ties back into being able to move around in a lot of different modes. So whether you are on a bus or you're on foot or you're in your car or you actually do some combination of those through your trip downtown. And then there's a lot of discussion of the building facades, which isn't something that we're specifically going into in the looking at the public space, but really that the facades of the building are the interface between the private portions, the private buildings and uses, and the public. So how those function, whether there are windows and awnings, if there are gaps or breaks in the street facade, those things have an important aspect to how the public space functions as well. So we'll be looking at all of this as we go out and about tomorrow and talking about the public spaces in Brattleboro and saying, you know, are they good spaces? And if they're not, what sort of changes could be done here to improve them? So tonight, what we are going to do is we're going to start this by getting some of your thoughts on how you use and what you do and what you see downtown. So we were going to break out, but now we're trying to judge our numbers. So I need to do another head count. A few more people have snuck in on me. So we're up to about 16. So I think we're still going to do a split into 2 groups. And we will go and focus in on these 3 different elements of downtown. So the places to move, places for interaction, and the places to experience downtown. So we're going to start there. And I have to adjust my thing. So if you have a blue name tag, we're going to start here in the Selectboard room with this over here in the places for people to move, small group discussion, and we'll start there. And if you have a green name tag, we're going to go to the Hannah Klossman room behind us for the places for people to interact. If you have a yellow name tag, split yourself between the blue and the green. I should have done that the other way, actually. I should have done blue and then yellow and then the green split, but you know, I missed my opportunity there, but that's the order that they are. And then we will cycle around. So we're going to do about 20 minutes at each station, and we'll move through. And I think if we're in 2 groups, it probably doesn't make sense to move to the 3rd room. We just move. We'll bring the stuff. Okay. So you guys won't move. We'll move the posters around to the other group, for the one that's in the other group. Okay. So we'll start there. Do a quick, stand back so I'm a little bit closer to the microphone, a quick wrap up and get folks out of here. We had good conversation in all of the 3 sessions that I got to participate in. With the interact, places for people to interact group discussions, I think we heard quite a bit of consistency between the 2 groups. I don't know if you guys thought the same in the groups that you were talking to. I think some good feedback and consistent ideas around more access into views of the river, more places to sit throughout downtown. Some of the, just looking at the various places that people can sit now, mostly commercial space. So the idea that being comfortable public spaces is a need. So, does anyone have any major interesting things to say?
I think we had a lot of great input in the places to move, and we had a lot of great ideas on like alternative transportation. Maybe people can park a little bit outside instead of inside, and then be able to have a trolley that moves around town and brings people where they need to go. I mean, and then other ideas for maybe providing more views and connections to the river and having dedicated bike lanes. The potential of using the rail line as another place to have a pedestrian way and a bike route as well. So, a lot of good stuff.
Well, I guess the seating question is a fairly simple one. We heard some pretty out there and visionary ideas too of elevated walkways, maybe some heated sidewalks. Anyone? And turning the top level of the transportation center into a rooftop garden. So a lot of creativity and interesting ideas that we hope continue to percolate up and get expressed over the next few days. So I did want to, just as we wrap up tonight, give a little bit of a pitch for what we're going to be doing for the next couple of days. So tomorrow we're going to be doing walk and talks. We're starting at, and if you haven't picked one of these up, this is by the door and it's the complete schedule. We're basically going to move north to south over the course of the day. So we're starting at 10 a.m. at the Municipal building here in the back parking lot. And we'll be doing 1-hour walks. People can come and just join for a little bit if we're near your area, or there's a specific spot you want to try to catch in on us. So we're doing 10 a.m. here at the Municipal Center and walking in this general northern vicinity. Then we're moving down. 11:30 we'll be at Plenty Park and going out on a route from there. And then at 1 p.m. from Preston, we're going out on a route from there. And then at 2:30 from the Depot Street parking lot, again going out from there. So there are, the list of sort of where we're headed and stuff is also on the big poster and it's up on the website. I don't have the individual maps laid out here, but if somebody has a specific interest and you want to see where we're going to be in more detail, catch me at the end and I can get you a more specific map. So that's what we're doing during the day tomorrow, and then we're going to have in the evening at 5:30 to 7:30 at 118 Elliott Street. We're going to be set up there for Friday evening and then into Saturday with an arts, what we're calling an arts event. So we'll be looking at public art and sort of creative placemaking opportunities in downtown. So come and see us on tomorrow evening.
And if you want to hear about the Town Arts Fund grants competition, the Arts Council of Wyndham County is going to be there. So they're going to have a flyer on that, which is going to be unveiled next week, I think. So.
And then Saturday from 10 to 4, we're going to be at 118 Elliott Street. We'll be holding what we're calling an open studio. There's going to be lots of activities and things to see and do. You can come and stay for as long as you like, come whenever you like. There's not a specific sort of program for the day, but we're going to be looking at the Bridge Street area and the Malfunction Junction portion of it as well. And then over toward the Whetstone Pathway, we're going to have some photo preference type of things that people can engage with and look at different types of public space treatments that you think might be a good fit in Brattleboro. For those of you who were talking about different ways of arranging the space within the street and, between cars and people and bikes, we're going to have an interactive thing where you can actually sketch out and build out a little street cross-section that would be how you think Main Street or Flat Street or Bridge Street should be set up. So you can do that. So lots of activities going on that day. So come, bring people, let people know. If you help us get the word out. We hope to hear from a lot of people. And then we're doing a final wrap-up next week on Wednesday night at the Brattleboro Museum. So that's the schedule. And I think that's the end of the slideshow and everything. So, okay. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to put one other plug out there, the Planning Services Department has a Facebook page now, so we're trying to be found. It's been a bit of a challenge since we set it up, so come find us and like us and follow us.
Is this all on your Facebook page?
Yes, that information. Yep, all the events.
Good to meet you.
So you know, I'll find your Facebook page.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, John.